Yo, what's up, plebs? Back with another nades video. Well, in case this time, obviously, as you can see, probably the most popular, as it seemed when I was doing the other maps. Heaps of people kept asking me to do cache. So here we finally are. I'll leave a poll in the description of this video and probably also on Twitter to figure out what the next map I'm going to do is going to be, because it's the only three maps I have left are the three least popular, Train, Nuke, and Overpass. So I got to figure out what I'm doing next, but I suppose we'll get to that when the time comes. So starting off at a T-spawn for connector, if you just aim at the top of this roof here and you use this middle white line as a guide there, and you just run and jump through once you hit that white line, that'll be a nice connector smoke. So moving closer towards mid now, if you come up to this drain just out of T-spawn, you center yourself on it, but right up against the wall. And you can see this white line that runs down from the roof there. If you just aim at the top of that white line and you jump through, that will actually smoke the top of white box. So people can still, the CTs can still fight from the floor, but the purpose of this smoke is just to cut off that headshot line where they have the advantage of only their head being visible. So coming into actual warehouse now, the cross smokes, some people do them from the door, but I'm not a fan of that. So if you just come into this right hand side corner from the T's perspective and use this vertical and horizontal white line there, and you just left click that, that'll give you left side mid. And for right side mid, you come against this corner, the box in the back of mid warehouse here, not this corner here, but the back, and you actually use this brown line where it intersects with the horizontal white, and you just left click that as well, and that gives you right side mid. So the purpose of these two smokes is essentially give yourself all the close mid control, because once you have that, you can split your vents and do a B split, and also once you've got all this close mid control, it's relatively easy to maintain it. So you can just constantly smoke con, you can Molotov sandbags, and you can just flash highway, and like even after these smokes fade, it can be pretty hard for the CTs to regain mid control like that. You can also smoke connector from this tire mark here along the floor. There's actually two. There's a short one here, but you want to use this real long one where it connects with the shadow here. And you can essentially see this metal girder that runs across and the roof of the A main stairs there. And you just want to aim at that and left click, and that will smoke connector for you as well. So moving on over towards A main, or A smokes, if you come up with the left hand side of this white paint here, and you just aim where this first window intersects with this white line that comes out here, not this this dark one, but this actual white line here. So we just actually shoot them, and you can draw up, and you just left click that, and that will smoke off NBK or fence, whichever you want to call it. For heaven, you want to come into this corner right here against the electrical box, not on top of it, and you just want to aim at the top of this aerial here, just off to the left a little bit, so it has a has the ability to bounce off the wall. Otherwise, it will just bounce and just fly off heaven there. So that'll smoke heaven for you. And you can smoke if you jump actually on this electrical box now up against the pipes, and you look at this brick, the line of this brick, where it meets this first line in the air, and that will give you front of sight, or default, or whatever you want to call it. So that'll smoke there with no gap, just like that. Obviously the forklift smoke, as you're coming out of A main, if you sort of you got a lot of leeway with the smoke. So essentially like this top left hand corner of the box, or just even the left hand side of this box in the middle, is essentially where you want to throw. So you can walk or you can run, you can get a bit deeper, but anywhere around that general region is going to smoke off forklift. If you're in squeaky, there's a few smokes you can throw as well. So obviously if you're on T side, the door's going to be open this way. So for NBK or fence, again, if you crouch on this corner right here and you just aim at the top of this red arrow and left click that, that will come out and that will smoke off all of NBK and fence. And if you want to smoke forklift, and you come to this back corner against the wall and you just aim where the boxes connect with the white there, and in line with this line that runs in between the two boxes, and you just run through, and that will bounce for forklift there. So that's all the general A smokes. So moving on over towards B. As you can see on the wall, there's like two dots here that stand out more than the rest of the dots. So you want to come to this right hand one here, and you just want to aim at this bottom, the two, like you can see the two metal ledges that stick out. If you aim at the bottom one, you just left click that, that will actually smoke off Checker's entrance. And the default progression smoke, if you come to this first line here, this is actually relatively easy to do. So if you just get a bit of practice, you can normally just toss it on the fly, but if you need an actual lineup for it, you come to this line here, and you can see this clean window in between the two dirty windows. You just want to aim essentially up to the top of the roof and just run through that, and that will give you your default progression smoke to cross in towards B. If you want to smoke CT spawn from sunroom, you can jump on this ledge here, right up against the box, and you just aim at the top of this like I suppose if you got 1, 2, 3, so it's this middle brown dot essentially, even though it's not really in the middle, but you aim at the top of that and you just left click, and that will actually bounce off the missile cases, I suppose. You can also smoke CT relatively easily from B main as well. If you just run and essentially throw out this left-hand line, but above this middle line here, this center line here, anywhere across there, that will actually bounce over towards CT as well. So that's all your relatively general B main smokes. So just a few unique smokes that I figured out or sort of made up or worked on quite a bit. If you want to smoke NBK from back of B main, you come to this corner right here, and you line up with this corner, and you want to run forward, but you don't want to run. You can run forward like a step or 2 steps, but you don't want your crosser to go any further than past this, like this wire right here. So you want to keep it before there or dot on that aerial, and you want to run forward and jump throw, and that will actually smoke all the way over towards NBK for you, even with the door open. That's a nice flawless little NBK smoke that I worked on for quite a bit to get nice and juicy. You can also smoke NBK from mid here. So if you come to this corner, well, obviously this corner you can be seen from white box in the bottom of highway. So I managed to make it from this corner. If you got 1, 2, 3 metal girders, if you follow this middle one up right up to the end, and then you just sort of go across to where that brown metal meets the concrete, that dot right there, and you jump through that, that will also smoke NBK relatively well for you. This one's not the best smoke, but I mean it's not fantastic, but it's pretty close to. There is a small gap there that can be abused, but other than that, it is pretty close to being a really good smoke. And the other one I have is from CT side. If you're up in heaven and you're CT side and you got a retake or something like that, you can actually smoke B main without being spotted. So if you just come to like these planks here, and just out to the left, so you can see the lines that run down here. So you can see if you toss it around about this one, it's going to bounce off in towards the middle. So if you just throw off that, that's actually going to bounce on the floor, and that will bounce in towards B main as a nice and easy retake smoke. So that's all the smokes. Moving on to flashes, I suppose I'll start from mid, as I did with the smokes. So there's a number of ways you can pop flash mid. So if you're in the corners and you toss like essentially the same way you did the cross smokes, they're both pretty good flashes for mid. They pop just outside and they'll blind all the close members, the CT side. Essentially these flashes you can toss from anywhere across the back wall as well, provided you're aiming up at that white line. So you can toss all them. If you want to toss one off the wall, just a line up, I mean it's not really needed, people just do this on the run all the time, but if you come up to this girder, or this, not this girder, this like edge of the door here, and you aim the right hand side of the red crate and up to the middle there, and you just run through, that'll pop a lot higher in the air and not actually out, so it'll pop flash like Z and white box and like anybody peeking sandbags, and even up in the vents that it might be like peeking towards A main, but it's not actually going to blind all your close players. And there's also a flash, if people are playing here, this is all this flash is really designed for. It's just this like pixel line that people might play here, because a lot of the flashes might not blind them because they'll land low, and the white box will actually cover them off for that. So if you stand right in this corner and you look, you can see like this line here that runs underneath the brown metal. You stand right in the corner and you aim like in between this edge and that line, and that flash will actually bounce off and it will pop right in the top left hand corner from the T's perspective for here. But the good thing about that flash is it actually blinds all the white box, even if they're holding a pixel line here or on the floor holding like a real tight line. So that's a number of good mid flashes that you can use. If you come out and you actually manage to get mid control and you're planning to take A, if you come into this corner here, not this back one because you can be spotted, come into this corner here and you actually aim where this sloped piece of metal meets this first shorter vertical piece of metal there, and you just left click that, that's actually a pop flash for highway. So it pops just past the wall there, gets barrels, gets anybody holding like this kind of line. Will probably partially blind sight, but depending on the distance, how far deep they are on the site. Moving on over towards A, if you crouch, like if you're like in the middle of the staircase here, and you crouch and you aim at the corner of this vent, and you just left click that, that will actually pop in the middle of A main to blind all of this ruckus out here, I suppose. Moving on over towards B, I suppose you can essentially, like once you get checkers control and all that stuff, I mean, a lot of people know these flashes, but I'll just go over them anyway. If you aim like this line here from inside, you can do it from inside B mains. You can't really be shot, and you just left click those flashes. They'll bounce out there, and you can also do that one in reverse. If you just aim at the next line across, so that'll bounce and blind actual B main instead of B site from checkers. If you're on B side as a CT and you go behind this box and you aim just to the right of this like this door ledge here and up to the yellow and black line and you left click that, that will actually pop just past the doorway. So that's a really good flash because it blinds all this kind of angle here and even the close players, and you can have a CT teammate just sitting here and they can peek and play around that flash. Like even if they're hugged against this wall, it's still not going to get them because it peaks it pops so pretty far out. So that's that flash for there. Mid flash, so if you come up towards mid and you just throw off like this ladder looking scaffolding piece there, and that will actually just bounce past the doorway for mid. You can flash that there. And if you're right in this corner and you look at this right hand ledge here, and you can see this line that runs across just underneath the vent that comes all the way across, if you left click off that, that will also bounce just outside. And the good thing about that flash is you can actually push out real close and not even get partially blinded by that flash. So as soon as you toss that, you can actually push out real close, wait for it to pop, and then you're immediately picking the enemies there. For retaking B side, if you come up to this first box here and you just look at like, you can see like this dirty mark on the wall here. If you aim at the bottom, where like the bottom of that vertical line meets these horizontal lines that run across there from this dirty section, you just left click off that. That will actually just pop out of heaven and blind players on site who might be looking up at heaven, or even B main looking up towards heaven there. Moving on over towards A as a CT, so you can pop flash A main in a number of ways. You can flash from right up against this back wall if you aim anywhere along the window line there, and you just left click, that'll pop just inside A main. If you crouch on the shadow, like if you're coming out of spawn and your teammate's going to push A main, and you crouch and you just look real over towards the left hand side of A main, you crouch and you aim at the red and you just left click, that'll pop like relatively deep, so deep enough to catch T's who might be peeking this kind of line, and even if they're holding this line waiting for a push. But that flash is best used straight out of spawn, so his teammate can just run straight in and peek all that. Some people use this flash if they're playing sight and the T's are coming out. A lot of people use this flash actually, pretty common knowledge. But if you bounce it off just the left, like the vent right there, the right side of that like fan thing, and it'll bounce off the wall and actually bounce out into the open. If you're in this corner and you jump on the ledge, you can actually crouch and you aim like the bottom of this brown line there, and there's like a dot. If you aim at that, it'll actually bounce off the floor and pop just past. So like you can see that from T side. So if you're like sitting here watching quad, it's not obviously not going to get too far. So like if people are holding the pixel line like this, it's probably not going to work. But there are a number of other flashes as well. So if you actually come to the, just so you can actually see into A main here, and you can see these red lines again. This is actually a really good pop flash if your teammate's going to push like later into the round. So if there's a smoke there or something like that, you can aim at the top of this red and flash straight in like that. And it's a pretty deep flash. It's not going to get people who are holding this line, like if they're right up against the wall, but it is pretty good if they're going to push late round, because later into the round it's not going to be too likely you're still going to have people waiting there. They're going to be sort of moving up, starting to clear out their lines, and moving on towards an execute. So just another CT smoke as well. If you're right up against this corner and you aim at the Y, that's your A main smoke there. And from CT side you can also smoke A main if you're right on the corner here and you look all the way up at this crane and this brown line that comes across, and you just want to aim exactly where the brown line hits the white there, and you launch that sky high. That's an A main smoke as well if you're on the floor. If you're at NBK and you come to the front of this ledge right here, so you can't actually be spotted from A main, and you aim at this corner where it meets the roof there, and you just left click that, that will actually bounce off the heaven, and that will smoke A main for you. And if you're on the ledge here, you can just aim at the top of this like missile thing here and just left click, and that will also bounce into A main and smoke off A main for you like that. So moving on over to Molotovs, there's not too many but that I know of, but if you go to this vertical red line right here and you sort of aim to the left hand side of this like pole thing, like there's a real tall one and a real short one. If you aim to the left side of the shorter one and up towards the window though, and you just run forward a step or two and you left click, that will actually Molotov vents for you. If you're on B site and you see like T's or something like that cross in towards checkers, you can actually Molotov checkers entrance real easy from default. If you look at this line that runs down that concrete panel on the wall there, and you just left click, run through that there, and that will actually Molotov checkers entrance, so they can't actually push out there for a little while. And also, if you are in checkers, or the back of checkers here, you can see this brown like smudgy line ever so slightly that runs across there. If you aim at the right side of that and you just left click, that will actually go into the vent as well. So if you're stuck at the back of checkers and they're starting to take vents control or something like that, you can Molotov that relatively easily without being spotted or having to peek or do any of that nonsense. So yeah, there's all the interesting smokes, flashes, and Molotovs, I suppose. Make sure you like, comment if you want, although I doubt it. Subscribe to my channel because I will be doing, I mean, I've got 3 more maps to do with smokes, and then I'll be uploading a bunch of other shit as well. If you want, make sure to vote on the poll because I need to find out what map I'm going to do next. Either nuke, train, or overpass. Follow me on Twitter and follow me on Twitch as well because I stream on a regular basis. Until the next video though, laters bitches.